All right. We're good. Let's go ahead and mute Twitch. Send out Twitter. Get the bot on. And. Ah! All right. Should be good. So. Hello, everyone. This is Chris Ingerson, and it is, again, February. April 17th. And this is the April 17th Text Quest Devstream. So, today we are going to be getting back into combat revisions. Specifically, we're going to be handling transitions and camera movements. I spent the last couple of days kind of messing with one-off ideas for this, trying to see how I should handle this stuff. In particular, I was trying to figure out what a good way to have camera movement while attacks were going on would be. Hello, Sky! Welcome back! And thank you for the cheer. It is a dev stream, exactly correct. So I think I've settled on having camera movement be done between attack phases, but not during attack phases. So what I mean by that is, for example, what we're looking at right here, would be an attack phase where, let's go ahead and hit play. The attacks will actually show up. You can type things out. And once you make your selection, we will transition to the next phase. What is going on here? There we go. So once I hit, all of jump in there, for example, we should fade out the other two labels completely and then transition to our jump cutscene. Now, who doesn't like dev streams? That's a very good question. I guess people who hate developers, which I guess would be QA testers. At least that would be my guess. Anyway, so... Oh, by the way, I think I forgot to ask you how you were doing tonight. I'm terribly rude. So how are you doing tonight, Sky? Anyway, so one of the weird complexities with this has been... I haven't quite figured out how to handle finishing an attack. Like, I have an idea of what I want to do, but I don't know really if I should just fast forward the timeline, which is going to be incredibly annoying to do, but will probably be what we end up doing. Just because right now, if I finish jump, it should probably, as soon as you finish it, transition to the next stage. And right now, we would have to wait until 10 seconds in, I believe that's how long or 15 seconds, I think that's how long I set this up to be, before it fades out, and then we would determine if you had actually successfully typed it. Now, it's certainly a way to go, but if we did it that way, I would expect us to have more animation going on, which is, it's a possible choice. If this game doesn't sell more than COD, I'm going to bed. Well, that would be very impressive for it to sell more than COD in, I'm assuming, 2 hours, starting now. I would be happy with that, I can tell you that right now. Doing good? Well, that's good. I am, as always, we'll see how this dev stream goes. I'm actually kind of tired and mad because I spent last night updating to Unity 2017.4.1, and when I did that, I found there were some weird glitches with how... I don't know if it's with how rect transforms are handled inside of Unity or if it's how layout elements are handled, but it was doing something weird with my positioning for these labels. So if we look at these right now, these labels are actually positioned at the same spot as a normal transform, but for some reason in 2017.4, they don't stay there. They snap down so they're in the same spot. Well, it's weird because they're not exactly in the same spot as each other. They're roughly correct to their positioning, but they're not correct at all in the y-axis. So I don't know what was going on there. It was super weird, but that meant that I had to spend all that time updating to 2017.4 last night, and then spend all that time reverting back to 2017.3 after I figured out that was happening. So that was just a huge waste of time yesterday. So hopefully tonight I won't have to do anything quite like that. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we really need to do is we need to figure out... Well, let's register the attack that's actually completed. And this is something that's going to be challenging because, as I've noted, This is. Oh, actually, you know what? I have an idea of how we can solve this. I have a bunch of comments here talking through my process on this, and there are going to be times where you could have attack choices that you have to make, as well as or defensive options that you have to take. Think like, and this is an example lifted pretty much straight from Typing of the Dead. Think like an enemy shoots a bunch of acid at you or something, and it might say acid, and you have to type that to avoid it. But that's not your choice to progress. So I have to be able to handle weird situations like that, where you have attacks coming in at the same time that you're attacking, and you have to like figure out how to avoid that while making your attack choice at the same time. Or in that case, you could make an argument. Well, maybe I just do it sequentially, where I just say, you type the acid out, you avoid that, and then we get presented with the attack option. But then there are things later on, like rapid fire strikes, where you have a bunch of different attacks on screen, and you want to type as many as possible. So for those, you're not actually going to be choosing one so much as you're going to be handling a bunch of them at once. So once you type one in, it shouldn't automatically go to the next transition. So that's something that I need to be aware of moving forward, and that's kind of something that I've thought of, but I haven't really figured out how I want to handle it. Although I did just now think of a possible solution to that, which is going to be an enum. So this will actually tell us we'll have an enum here for something that's basically like attack type, and it can be like, I don't know, single, defense, or rapid, I guess, or multiple. And basically, depending on the enum value, you would have different behaviors for the labels. So I probably should go ahead and add that enum. Let's see. So we want an attack section clip. That is correct. Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and create C# script. I'm just going to call this attack section type. Oh, right. Haha, I'm back in 2017.3, so I have the correct formatting for all of my files. Yay. Whenever I upgrade versions of Unity, I always forget to change the source code file so that it has all of my like name spacing and all that. And I always get mad because I have to waste a lot of time doing all that stuff again. Anyway, so this is going to be an enum derived from byte. It is going to be in text quest, not in common. We can get rid of all of that. And let's see, we're going to have single is equal to 0, multiple is equal to 1, and so I don't know if I want to call it like defensive or what. Maybe I should have, instead of, oh, actually, you know what? No, that makes sense. We'll just do this. So we'll have single and multiple as an attack section type. And the idea there is that we'll actually have a different behavior for enemy attacks. So attack section behavior will only handle the player's attacks, so the decisions that you can make. And we'll have a separate behavior for like the spider spitting venom at you, or the troll swinging his club or something. That way they don't have to worry about overlapping with each other. So we still want this single and multiple enum, but now we don't have to worry about weird cases like attacking and defending in the same script, because this would now be handled by two different things. Although it would become exceptionally strange because we would have to... well, I'm not going to worry about that for now. Okay, so let's go over here to attack section clip real quick. I'm going to serialize field private attack section type. We'll just call this type is equal to single. Let's go ahead and comment that. Let's see. Determines if the section ends after a single attack is entered, or if multiple attacks can be used. Okay. Also, I'm going to... Oh, hello, Paul. Welcome back. How you doing tonight? Also, I forgot to mention my setup for my headphones. For those who don't know, for about 2 years now, I think my right earpiece has basically been loose, and I've been keeping it tied to my head by a necktie because I'm too cheap to spend like $40 to get a new headset. And now my tie that I was using to tie that is it's indisposed right now. So I have like a loose piece of earpiece on my the right side of my head, and it's driving me nuts. So I apologize if you hear me like fiddling with my headset constantly because it's really annoying. Um, but I will try not to do that. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and say public. We're gonna say attack section type. Call this type is equal to not multiple, single. Single. There we go. Let's go back here. We're gonna say behavior dot type is equal to type. Yeah, it's apparently it's actually a common thing in this headset. Like it's the earpieces that actually go over your ears have like a little swivel device in there, and for some reason this one seemed to get stuck, and eventually it just kind of like snapped through it. So it's like the thing is I don't want to replace it because it's perfectly fine. Like everything still works on it. It's just got a loose earpiece, and it's like I can't justify it until something else happens to it. But it is quite infuriating. We'll see how long I last without my necktie, I guess. See if I can live with this because it's super awkward having it like halfway on my head. Um, okay, so we're not going to worry about multiple or single attacks for now. I just wanted to have that in there so I don't forget to do that. Let's go ahead and let that compile. And we're going to take a look at attack section behavior. So we need to figure out how we want to handle this when we complete an attack. And what we need to do for that is we need to have a success. Well, let's go ahead. I was going to make it a bool, but let's just make it an int. So private int attack count is equal to 0. Or how about attack successes? No, that's a really awkward name. Because attack count kind of makes me think that it's the number of attacks on screen. Or how about attacks completed? That's fine. It's a little long, but it's fine. Okay, on behavior play, we're going to go ahead and say attacks completed is equal to 0. Oh, by the way, the commented out stuff here for position count and this chunk of code here is because when I briefly updated to 2017.4, I had to like force position every single frame to keep those rect transforms in position. Otherwise, they would do something stupid and just like teleport to a random spot. And I have no idea why, but that is why I reverted back. Understand, had a similar experience. The volume on my headset was a meter that slowly died over a span of about 6 years, and I finally had to replace it because the volume would cut out if my head slightly. Yeah. See, and that's the thing is when you once it has a default or a defect, like once anything goes wrong on this headset, I will just like throw it out and be like, yes, now it's time for a new one. But until something actually breaks on it, I just can't justify it to myself. Okay, so let's see. On attack complete, this is where we're going to have to handle this. So we're going to do a quick switch logic here. So switch type, say case, attack type dot single. Then we'll break. Well, so here's the thing. In like both cases, I want it to increment the attacks completed. We'll just say attack completed plus plus. And then on type single, we're going to want to do something special. But on attacks multiple, we don't actually care. So I guess I don't really need it to be switch type, or switch, but I'll keep that in there for now. So here's where it gets weird. I'm trying to figure out how we want to handle resolving combat sequences after you've typed in your choice. Because ideally it would end right away, but I could make it just last however long it was already going to last. So in the case of our current setup, let me go ahead and find that timeline real quick. We have our initial timeline here. So our current timeline is I believe set to be about 15 seconds. Or actually, because it's still technically, or because it's still set up like it was in 2017.4, it's 14.8999 or whatever. Yeah, I can probably increase that back to 900 again. Freaking ridiculous. But that's 15 seconds, and that's a little long for these choices, but for test cases. But it's a weird situation because I can't make it incredibly tight. Like I can't make the timing very strict because if I do that, then it really puts a lot of stress on players that can't type very well. So especially younger players or players that just can't type very well in general. I don't want to necessarily have like you have 5 seconds to type out this very long sentence. Although that is, I think, actually pretty reasonable given the current setup. So I could probably actually shrink this down to like 10. 10 might be fine. Keep in mind that about 2 seconds of that is going to be for fading in and out. So the labels will only be fully visible for the duration -2, basically. So we could probably shorten that up to like 7, and it would give us a good 5 seconds. Let's go ahead and shorten this up to 7 as well. And we'll show you what that looks like now, just so you can get a sense of how fast that is. And it's fine for shorter things like the troll, where it's going to be largely single words, left, jump, right. Like that, I think is plenty of time. Oh my god, it's still like that, huh? Okay. Yep. So I think that's just a thing with timeline then. Fun. So quick tip. I found this out last night, although I guess it must have been happening for a while, although I don't remember it happening before that. The function, let's see, where is it? Not prepare frame. On behavior pause is not called if your playable clip is flush with the end of the timeline. It is quite infuriating that that is the case, but that is what happens. So, so anyway, by shrinking it by 1 frame, it'll fire off that event. So now the labels will actually fade out at the end instead of just awkwardly hanging there in the air. Anyway, so what we want to do now is whenever I type in a choice here, whether it's jump, left, or right, it should record that as a successful attack, and then it should record the choice that I made if it's single, and then I should be able to do something with that if it's single. I just... That's a kind of infuriating thing I just realized, yeah. We're actually going to have a separate list for this when we do multiple, or of type multiple instead of type single. But we're not going to worry about that for now. So, okay, let's go ahead. I'm going to come back over here, not to prepare frame, on tech complete. So we need to set, I'm going to try setting our time. I will be quite surprised if that works, but essentially what I'm going to try to do is, let's see, where's my cached playable stuff? I'm still setting that, right? Yep. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and say cached playable dot set time. Wrong. Hold on, sorry. We're going to actually say oh, wait. Did I do that stupidly? Yes, there we are. Okay. So we're just going to call set normalized time. I just want to see if this works. Set normalized time. Like I set up the code for it, but I didn't actually test it last night. And we're just going to set that to 1F. So what should happen in theory is we basically skip to the end of this behavior. I'm just going to debug.log test 11 here. Make sure that that actually happens. So, all right, Sky. Well, thank you for stopping by, and thank you again for the cheer. Got that #1 medallion going. Have a good night. Get some sleep. Let's see. By the way, probably worth mentioning sooner or later. I met you at GDC at the event. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. You are actually, Paul, the reason that well, you're not the reason, but you're one of the reasons that I'm redoing my combat system, because I want it to be more interesting for people like you. Because it is a terrible, terrible, terrible thing when someone like you, who can type perfectly, really quickly, has to just kind of like sit there and type through things that are not really that interesting. So hopefully the new combat system that I'm working on right now will be a little bit more interesting for you. Um, okay, so let's go ahead and we're just going to play through. We're going to type something out, and it should tell us at the end that, well, we'll see what happens here. So I'm just, ooh, okay, that was interesting. We had a little bit of a lag spike there, but I'm assuming that's because of Game Manager spawning in. Okay, and also it looks like that didn't go through. Maybe go ahead and debug this. Debug.log. We're gonna say, oh no, that's prepare frame, not that. I want here, behavior pause. Okay. So I want to see if setting the time on the playable to its end point will allow me to actually skip ahead. If not, I'm probably going to have a reference to the actual timeline itself, which I might be able to retrieve from the playable, maybe. And then I'll have to set that time manually, which is not going to be fun. So let's go ahead and we're going to say play. Yeah, so so the idea with this new system is, so you know the current one because you obviously played through it. Basically, you just type a bunch of stuff, and then at the end, the side with the most words typed wins. With this, you'll actually choose your approach. So you'll say, I want to attack from the left, or I want to attack from above, or I want to attack from the right. And when you do that, you'll have to pay attention to the troll because we don't have it set up yet, but after we get transitions set up, we might actually do that, assuming we do that tonight. But the troll can actually do counter moves. So, for example, in some situations, typing right might actually be a bad move because, for example, the club that the troll holds could be pointed to the right. So if you go to the right, then he'll just smack you, and you'll instantly lose it. You won't be able to progress because he was basically in a position to just hit you. Now I have a bunch of stuff set up so that it makes it very obvious that that choice is a bad one. But the idea there is that there's now some strategy in it. It's not just about reflexes. And you will choose your path moving forward so each time you successfully type a word or a choice, it goes to a different cutscene. Then there are different labels that show up, and you get to pick again what you want to do. And then the process will basically repeat until you get close enough to the enemy to do your damage. At which point I'm thinking of probably just switching to a similar style to what it currently does, where it's like a bunch of attacks that you type out. But you don't have to worry about losing health at that point, unless I guess you type 0 for some reason. Well, no, you know what, maybe, I don't know, that's a future consideration. But that's kind of the idea right now, is basically it expands combat mechanics and makes it a lot more interesting, I think. And it actually lets you do stuff like tie in exploration outside of combat into combat. Which we already kind of do a little bit with the discovery of true names for enemies, but it would be nice to hear like the spider cannot be attacked when he's on the ground, so you have to like figure out how to reach him when he's up in the web or something like that. Basically, just adding strategy to it and research outside of combat to make combat more interesting. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and type jump. Okay, so we got our test there. We did not skip, which means that I need to manually skip ahead using the entire timeline. So setting the actual time of the clip does not really do anything, which is disappointing. So we're going to go ahead and close this, and we're going to change this out. Okay. That sounds awesome. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you think it sounds awesome. We'll see if I can make it feel as good as I'm hoping I can, because I really want it to be a lot more punchy, for lack of a better term. But just more interesting in general, while also not being too crazy that people who can't type incredibly well won't be able to handle it. Okay, so let's see. Although I can actually see a really, really fun scenario, maybe like a secret enemy, because I'm a huge fan of those in like JRPGs, where you have like you have an enemy that's harder than the final boss. So I might have like just an incredibly long sentence that's really, really hard to type in like 10 seconds. Uh, okay, so let's see. I need to try and get the actual timeline. I wonder if I can do that from here. So I'm going to say cache playable dot. I know I can get the graph, but I don't know if I can get anything beyond that. Evaluate. No, that's not what I want. Can I set time? Oh, I can set time update mode. I can stop the graph. Okay. Hmm. Is there a time? Let's see. Get time update mode and set time update mode. That's not what I really want. I'm a huge fan of Disgaea. That game is 90% secret bosses. Yeah, I don't know if I would really have a post game in the same sense as that, but I would essentially have the same concept. It's just you would get that before the end of the game, basically, and I would probably stick them in pretty tough to reach places. I mean, that's the point of secret bosses, right? Uh, I'm also just super excited because this is so the system that we're currently revising. This is actually what I had envisioned from the get go. I just kind of skimped out on it, so I'm happy to be getting back to it because I am once this system is in and the first two combat sequences are done, I'm just gonna go straight to the giant flaming moth. I've wanted to get that in the game for 2 years now, and I want my giant flaming moth fight. I will have that, or I will die trying. Okay, so how am I gonna get this? I don't want to destroy playable. Disconnect. Let's see. I might have to. Oh, get root playable. That might be what I want, actually. Oh, no, that's not what I want. Time update mode. Get type. Let me look this up. I'm curious to see if there's someone doing this. Surely someone's tried this already. Timeline set time, I guess. Time control. That's set time. Hmm. Oh, that's interesting. You can set the local time of something, but that's not actually that helpful for me. Hmm. Table extensions. Hmm. Interesting. So we can do this. Table extensions dot. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Actually, these are probably all just the things that I already had access to. Yeah, that's totally exactly what I had access to. Well, no, because if that were the case, fine. I'll try this. I'm gonna go ahead and say cached playable dot set time followed by cached playable dot get duration, and then I think that's all we really want. So let's see if that works. I'm skeptical, but we'll see because that's essentially what my wrapper was doing, just at a little more flexible approach. We'll see. As soon as Unity compiles and actually lets me see it again. There we go. Yeah, we're going to be doing some weird stuff with timeline for combat. I'm actually concerned that that I might be breaking new ground here in terms of what people have done with timeline. Because timeline's still fairly new. It's only really been around since 2017.1, so it's a little less than a year old at this point. And there's still a lot of weird esoteric things going on with it. especially in the code base for it. It's all kinds of nuts. Okay, let's see. So we're going to make another choice. So I'm going to say jump again. Yeah, nothing happened. Right, because we didn't get to pause. So surely that's not actually setting time. Okay, so I have to have a reference to the actual playable director, which is weird because essentially that means that the timeline is going to have a reference to the playable director that's playing it, which is super awkward. Um, but I can't really think of another option, so we'll live with that for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's go over to our timeline clip here, and say serialize field private playable director. I guess I'll just call it director. Let's go ahead and tooltip this. We'll say playable director that is playing this clip. Okay, let's go back over here, all the way up. And where did I stick that? Near the top? Yep, I did. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and say public playable director. Okay, let's go back to here. Say behavior.director is equal to director. Alrighty then. So what we're going to want to do is on attack complete, instead of doing this, we're just going to say director.set, dot time. Yes. Is equal to director dot, does it have a duration? It does. Okay, let's try that. See if that actually does what I expect it to. Entirely possible that it doesn't, or that it skips things and causes problems. Hopefully it's not that, but we'll find out. All right, let's go ahead and, oh, I almost forgot I needed to assign that. So we'll go ahead and pull that. Oh, crap, right. My bad. We gotta change that. Exposed reference. There we go. This was my problem. I always forget to do this. So for timelines, because they're assets and they're not actually in the scene, you have to use this exposed reference property so that it can figure out how to actually reference it. So I need to say director.getResult, or sorry, director.resolve. There we go. Craft.getResolver. There we go. That's what I have to do, basically. That's why timeline stuff can be pretty frustrating, because you can't just directly reference stuff. It makes it tedious to really do this. You'll notice that it changes by indenting slightly to indicate that it's an exposed reference field. And Shazam! Dang it. I used the magic word and a sound effect and it did nothing. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and place that in there. This is going to be interesting. I wonder if it will fail out because this is null. We will find out. Let's go ahead and save that. And let's give this a shot. So it should now skip to the end. We'll find out if that works. Okay, so jump. It does! Hooray! And no nulls. Hooray! Even more so. Cool. So that does work. And let's go to our attack detection behavior. And we need, when we get to here, we need to figure out what we're going to do if we succeed or fail. So how would we want to do this? I suppose suppose we'll say switch. We're going to do our type again. And we're going to say case single. For now, we're not going to worry about multiple. And we're just going to say if task completed is greater than 0, then we're going to do something else. Okay. So if attacks completed are greater than 0, then we should play the success timeline. So we're going to want to say, this is interesting. I think we're going to want to do int index is equal to labels dot index of current attack, and then we'll say oh shoot, you know what I just realized? That is a freaking non-exposed reference. Jeez. Or wait, was I smart enough to figure that out beforehand? I was almost smart enough to figure that out beforehand. Okay, so I need to actually change this a little bit. We need this to be an exposed property. Exposed property. Director. What happened? There we are. Oh, right, exposed reference, not exposed property. Bah. All right. Which does mean that I need to do this public playable director true timeline. Ugh, so gross. Let's go back to actually no the clip. Yep, here we are, and we're going to need to do actions of I dot true timeline is equal to actions of I dot timeline dot resolve graph dot get resolver. All right, so that should handle that. We're going to want to come back down to here, and we're going to say how do I want to do this? I guess we should. I don't think we're going to need to do a null check because it wouldn't make sense for it to ever be null. So let's go ahead and say actions of index dot true timeline dot play. Okay. And then we'll recycle everything. That should all be fine. All right. I don't think we need anything else really. So let's go ahead, let that compile, and we're going to put a couple of different, well, we're going to have a different position for the camera to move to for another cutscene, basically, and then we'll just smoothly interpolate between them. Okay, so we have our initial timeline, which is actually kind of weird. We want the action camera. Yes. Okay, I'm going to grab this and drink this in. F. Oh yeah, something else that I was trying to figure out. I don't know how to get or how to make all of the characters face the camera. Like I have some ideas, but I'm a little worried that if they're not constantly facing the camera, it might be hard to see them. But at the same time, if I constantly make them face the camera, it would look weird because it would look like they're rotating in place. Which I mean is what we do for regular items in the overworld. But for combat, I think it would kind of be funny if I could play with the camera angles a little bit more and do stuff like, I don't know, they turn to the side, disappear, and then they reappear somewhere else, using camera tricks basically. But for now, we're not going to worry about that too much. So I'm just going to leave them rotated. And let's see, we have our initial timeline. That's the one that we've been using for a while. We're going to come up with another timeline. So we'll say, oh geez, this is going to be so ridiculous. So I guess we'll start with the left. Oh wow, this is really a lot. Let's actually subdivide these even more. So we're gonna say initial. Grab that, put that there. We're gonna have phase 2, I guess. Phase 2, which I guess should make this phase 1. Phase 1. Let's go ahead and move this all in here. Make this a playable object, or playable director. Not play on wake. Everything else should be fine. Let's go ahead and duplicate that twice. Then we'll have right and jump. All right. And now we're going to want to go ahead and grab this real quick. I'm going to grab you, and we are going to set you to left, right, and jump. Okay. Let's go ahead and jump back to, where are you? Where did I put you? There we are. Left, we are going to need an asset. Let's go ahead and move over here. Create playable timeline. There we go. Timeline, we're going to call this troll combat dash relaxed dash left. Oh man, these are gonna get nuts. This is one of the drawbacks I think of this system is that it's gonna rely, it's gonna require that I make a lot of timelines, which is just, it's not really difficult. It's just a lot of time, but the end result will hopefully be very, very enjoyable because of that. So let's go ahead and we're going to add some track groups. We'll say cameras. Actually, I'm curious if I did. Totally did. We need to drag you out. Add, in addition to that, let's go ahead and add like a tax. Drag that. Oh, come on, work with me here. Unity. It's lagging. There we go. And that's pretty much all we care about. Let's go ahead and go back over to here. Add a track group. Call this a tax. We will add a playable track. Up here, we will add a Cinemachine track. Add a Cinemachine shot clip. And for this, we will add an... I am not going to add an attack section clip for this one because actually we are going to want to have a defense move, I think. Okay, so let's go ahead and assign our clip here. So relaxed left, put that right there. Okay, should be pretty good. We need to drag in our Cinemachine brain, which is on our main camera. There we are. Hit save. All right. So we're not going to do anything in the playable track right now. Machine shot, we are going to have... Oh man, I'm going to have tons of virtual cameras too, aren't I? Ah! Okay, well let's... Jeez. I'm going to change this to relaxed phase 1 camera. Let's go ahead and we're going to duplicate this. I'm going to call this relax phase 2 left camera. Freaking crazy name. Let's go ahead and move this around. Let's go ahead and just handle this. Oh, wrong thing. Right, see, this is the weird thing about having it be rotated like that. So ideally, actually no, that's... So we're in an interesting bind here. Actually, no, it's fine. I'm going to move this over to here. We're going to rotate this a little bit more. So currently what I'm doing is violating what's called the 180 rule. In cinematography, there's an idea that you should never cross the axis of action. So you never want to go rotate the camera more than 180 degrees. Because if you do that, then people get confused about what's going on. Of course, that's largely used for cutting, and we're not actually going to be cutting. We're going to be lerping to our position, so it's not as much of an issue, but it is certainly one to be aware of. It's going to be even weirder because our troll's not going to rotate right away. um, okay, so we're going to go ahead and we will set our idle camera to be... I wonder if I can just give you a priority of 11, and then we'll figure out if shot priority overrides that. I'm curious. We'll find out. Okay. So let's go to the left here again, grab our timeline, grab our Cinemachine shot, relax to left camera, and all we really care about, although this is a disturbing thing, that usually means that there's a problem with the editor. So all we really care about is lerping between these two, so let's go ahead and turn off this preview. I think that's all we're going to actually need, so let's save that. And what should happen now is once I type left, it should finish and then lerp to that position. So let's see if that actually ends up happening. Okay, it did not lerp, but it did move. I think that means I need to come over here and let's see, default blend. Huh. That's interesting. I thought it would blend automatically, but I don't think it did because it was a timeline cut, which is not the best. Okay, let's set up a asset for this, I guess. So we're going to say text quest. Where's my tests? Oh, wait. Really? Oh, okay. Yep. That is entirely true. See, that's what we call hubris. Um, I was so sure, even though I guess I had no real reason to be that sure. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place it. Do I want to place it here? I think it's fine. So we'll call this camera blends. Hit save there. I've not actually set this up before, so this is going to be interesting. Okay, so from relaxed phase 1 camera to relaxed phase 2, we're going to try ease in and out. Let's see if that works. So let's come back over here. Oh, good, it did set it. That's very nice. That's very nice. I like it when Unity puts in the effort to have really cool inspectors like this, because that's what I always try to do whenever I make assets. I don't always succeed, especially if it's only for my personal use, but I always like custom inspectors like this. Okay. Especially nested ones. So now it might blend. We'll find out. I'm curious. Quite curious. At the very least, we do know that... Oh, come on. Really? That is so disappointing. Maybe I can set it. Let's go to left here, timeline, come up here, come up here. Oh, goody. I don't know what these are doing. Okay, this is not at all confusing. I'm assuming that it's, yeah, just this. Okay. So we don't want to save during play. We don't really care about game window guides, although I am curious as to why they're not showing up. That is kind of distressing. Oh, because it's not on that active camera, that's why. Follow, look at, we don't care about that lens, field of view. We could do Dutch angles, but that's not actually the problem. Huh. Interesting. So it seems as though this is a hard cut, and I can't get around that. That can't be right. Surely there has to be an option for this, because the entire point of this is that it should lerp between the two of them, but I wonder if I can get around that by doing this. So let's go to our initial timeline, and instead of having this be on, I'm going to mute this track. I'm just going to add an activation track. We'll have this stretch the entire way, and it will activate our relaxed phase 1 camera, and it will be, let's see, it'll invert. Let's go ahead and turn this to 10. We're going to turn you off and turn you off. And then for our second one, again, instead of having it set the shot, we're just going to activate the shot to be relax face 2. Let's see if that lerps. The idea being that whenever Cinemachine activates a camera, it should set it as a priority. And I think it will lerp. If not, I'm a little distressed and we'll have to figure out what to do here. Yeah, there we go. So that's really annoying. It means that I can't use shot composition. Or perhaps I could do both. I actually wonder what will happen if I try both. Let's go ahead and change this one a little bit real quick. I'm going to unmute this, and we're going to move this above that and see if that works. If this still snaps to it, we're going to try offsetting the shot, and then we will, if that still snaps, just, I guess, work within the bounds of activating and deactivating cameras manually. Because Chris can't have nice things. It's an established fact. Yep, okay, Chris can't have nice things right now. But let's see if Chris can continue to not have nice things. I'm going to say 2, we'll say end of 5. That's probably not actually a good test. Let's make that 1 and 5. Okay, so let's save that and try it. And left. Nope. Okay. Can't do it. That is incredibly disappointing. I wonder why you're freaking out like this. I wonder if that's my custom inspector, actually, now that I think about it. Entirely possible. So, I guess that means to get the desired effect, I can't set shots with the Cinemachine timeline or the Cinemachine clip. I have to instead manually activate and deactivate cameras. Which sucks, but it'll work at least. Go ahead and get rid of this test debug. I don't really need you. Okay, let's go ahead and so we have transitions functioning now. And we need to let's see what's the next step. Ideally, I would like to have the troll rotate to face the camera, but that might have to change. Well, let me think. What can we do with that? I guess actually no. We should have a. Let's before we start worrying about rotating characters, let's get a failure state working. So what should happen if you don't make a decision? And that would probably be that the troll hits you. We're not going to worry about actual animations for the characters yet. Man, I got like the hiccups and they're really weird. We're not going to worry about the actual character animations yet. I'm going to focus more on the camera movements and timeline sequencing. So what I would like to do is have it lerp back to this position. So this position is going to be our default view, I think, for the fight. And then actually what should happen is that when phase 1 starts, our camera should probably be, let's see, probably be over here. I'm going to move this up. Let's rotate you. So I'm kind of going to want this to be like a 90 rotation. So almost like flush on. Mostly so that it is a little bit more visually appropriate. Like the labels left, right, and jump are actually going to be to the left, to the right, and above it, as opposed to where they currently are, which is kind of awkwardly sort of to the left, but it's really hard to tell. So let's put you there, turn you off again. I'm going to hit save, and let's see this in action. It's going to be hard to see the labels, I'm guessing, because they're not going to rotate. So basically what I'm saying is I think I need all of my... Yeah. So let's try positioning these by hand real quick just so that we can see what these look like. All right. So I'm going to set these to be... Where's my rotation? Rotation of 90, I guess. Yeah. So we would actually want these to be facing the camera. And it's important that we set the positioning of them to be as far away as necessary, so we don't get that really odd situation where like jump was eating up the top half of that screen. But actual size and placement of the labels are an important factor to the design of combat. So I want to figure out where to position labels so that they are either easy to see or it's obvious which choice is a good choice. And in the case of, a default state here, it's not really going to matter. But part of the reason why I want to use this spacing, so obviously it's going to get smaller as it goes far away, is because it would be really, really amusing to have small labels that are like secret actions you can take, and only if you're really observant will you be able to actually take those options. So you could do stuff like, I don't know, hit the light in the troll sewer combat area, and I don't know, cause sparks or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. That's a terrible idea, but the idea is that it would allow you, if you're an observant player, to do like a one-off high damage attack, maybe. And it's just another fun thing to have in combat. So we need to do a couple of things. We probably want our labels to always face the camera. And beyond that, we probably need to have support for the character, for the troll or the enemy to always face the camera, but that's going to be a different thing. So let's go ahead and stop playing. Imagine like some troll has a helmet or something, and when you knock it off, it exposes an eye label. Yeah, pretty much stuff like that. So if you're very observant, then you might see secret attacks that you can do, and it would just be a fun either one-off attack that does a lot of damage, or it could actually expose something on the enemy to make them, actually attackable, maybe, depending on what type of enemy it is. But yeah, the idea is that it just opens up combat to a whole other world of possibilities again, which is why I'm so excited to do this refactor. Okay, so we're gonna want to go ahead and go to our label. I'm trying to think, am I always going to want the label to face the player? If so, then I can hard code it into the label and not worry about it. Oh, no, you know what? I guess we'll have it be a bool that I can turn on and off. Because I could actually see a really fun thing where, like, you have to fight an enemy that everything is spelled backwards. Well, not spelled backwards, but everything's flipped. So the labels would actually face away from you, and you would have to type it in reverse. Like, that could be pretty fun. Brings up an idea. What if you had labels that had, like, secret prefixes, suffix, or portions of it that are only visible under certain conditions? No, that's actually kind of a thing that I have. I mean, it's not in there yet, but it's the base for it is there. If we go to our initial timeline, go to our attacks here, we can actually open these up, and you can see that we have criteria here. And by default, most criteria will be empty, but if I wanted to, I could say, like, this attack will only show up if a particular bool is true. So if, like, you've picked up, I don't know, a blue rose, then if you go to a specific combat and you have that blue rose, then it might give you a special attack option if it sees that you have that. And if you don't have that, then it just won't show up. So that's another thing. Yeah, that's something that I want to do. That is very much something I want to do. We still have to figure out how to properly implement that, but yes, that's a really cool thing that I want to try. Oh, partial word labels. That might actually be better, but it would be right. The trick there is that I would have to like how do I want to say it? I would have to make sure that those attacks or options are not actually selectable unless you have met the criteria to do it. So it would be an interesting thing to hint at, to say like if like here's a thing that you might be able to do if you had the correct parameters, um, but without the hold on, excuse me, I had to sneeze. Um, but without the correct variables, either in stuff you've already done or uh, items that you're carrying or whatever, then um, then it won't show the full label. But I don't want you to be able to start typing it, just because you wouldn't be able to finish it really. Um, so I don't know. I don't know which would be better there, because having it be partially visible makes it obvious that something is there, um, and that might entice people to try and figure out how to get it, which I think would probably be the better way to go overall, actually. We'll see what I can come up with there, just because I got to think about how to approach that. But that is a pretty cool idea. So yeah, I'll think that through. Think about how to pull that off. Thank you, by the way. uh, okay, so where was I? I've lost my sense of placement. Oh right. So we're gonna go ahead and turn. Oh right, that's what I was doing. I was doing my label stuff. Okay. Let's go ahead and select the prefab because this inspector is getting pretty beefy. Um, let's see. I'm going to assume below here, so probably below inactive color, indicator color. Let's go up here. Go to here. I'm going to say serialized field, private, bool, face camera is equal to true by default. Tooltip, if true, the label will always face the camera. All right. And what we're going to have to do there is we need to have an update. Let's go all the way down here. Okay. Yeah, it'll have to be an update, won't it? So we'll say private void update. Actually, yeah, that gets to be. No, that's fine. Well, no. You know what? Instead of that, I'm going to give it a transform in addition to that bool, and it will face that transform. Face target, or how about follow target? Follow target. If true, the label will always face a given transform. Okay, and then underneath that, we're going to serialize field. We'll make this a bool check. Call it follow target. Target value is going to be true, and then we'll say private transform target. Oh crap, that won't work. that really won't work. I just realized that. Because that transform would have to be set at runtime. It can't be set in the inspector. Frack. That probably means that I would actually just change this. So let's go ahead and we're gonna get rid of this and instead put it in our attack section clip. Let's go put that here. We're gonna change this. We'll say labels will always face a given transform. Let's move the prefab down as well because I have a strict order that I like to use here. We're going to be using sleepyowl.common. Okay. And that should be an exposed reference. All right. Aha! So with that, we can give it a transform to follow. And we need to go over here to attack section behavior. Let's go ahead and we're going to say, where did I put that before? It's underneath, no, it's above the label prefab. Okay, so we're going to say public bool follow target is equal to true public transform target. Those are correct, right? Follow target, yep. Okay, let's go down here and do the same thing. We're just going to say behavior. I can't type behavior apparently. Behavior dot follow target is equal to follow target. Behavior dot target is equal to target dot resolve graph dot get resolver. Aha! Okay, and now what we'll do is when we spawn labels, we will need to have an actual function that we can call. So let's go ahead and say, let's see, reset attack, refresh label. I guess we would probably want to put it under. We'll put it here, I think. So I'm going to say public, if I can spell public void. I can't type apparently tonight. Public void, and we'll say face target, I guess. Let's go ahead and give that a transform target. And we are going to want to actually have a private transform down here. Private transform target. We are going to say face target. This dot target is equal to target. And then on deactivate attack. Oh, I'm sorry, not deactivate attack. Where are you? Where are you? Fade out coroutine. That's what I want. Find all references. Let's go ahead and go to here. Stop attack. When we stop attack, we're going to go ahead and say target is equal to null. And then all the way down here in update, we will say if target is not equal null. Okay. We are going to say dot. I actually don't remember if I have a function for this or not. No, I guess not. Really? That's kind of disappointing. I think I'm going to want to say transform dot. There should be a look at, I think, function. There we are. Look at, and then we'll give it a target. And that should more or less do what I want. Oh, it has overloads. That's interesting. World up, world up. Oh, meh. That's fine. All right, we'll let that compile. Hello, Dusted Ham. Welcome back. How you doing tonight? All right, let that compile. I'm going to stretch and yawn and drink. Yeah. All right. And let's go ahead, go over to our initial timeline, set up our attack section clip. We are going to... Ooh, that is no good. Oh, my. Oh, really? Well, fine. Be that way. I'm going to take away this, which makes me sad. But it's good to know. Anyway, so what was happening there was a custom inspector problem with a attribute drawer. So apparently attribute drawers do not like exposed references. I'm sorry, exposed references. They apparently just don't want to draw those things. So We'll let that go ahead and recompile, and you should be able to see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we're going to make the target that it faces just be the main camera. That's all we really care about. And we do want them to follow it, so let's save, and then we will just, I guess, let's see what they look like. So we'll hit play. We should have the camera transition. Well, that didn't work. Now did it? Oh, you know why it didn't work? Because I didn't actually tell it to tell the labels to look at the thing. So I need to go back over here and on behavior play. Here we are. We're going to say if follow target. We'll say label dot. What was it? Target face target. There we go. And then target. Try that again. Doing okay? Well, that's good. Or I guess it's okay at least. Ugh, man. Let's see here. Let's clear out our console. I really should fix that null reference. It's because of the stupid animation events and how Unity handles those. Well, that is. I was worried it was going to do that. It's facing the wrong way. It's because of how look at works. That's funny. Okay. Well. Huh. Okay. Let's go ahead and actually, I'm going to do a couple of things. First up, I'm going to go ahead and come over here. We're going to set. Come on. There we go. Let's see. Director actions left. Here we are. I'm going to go ahead and parent these to spawn so that they will be parented to their position. That way I can move them around freely. But the idea is I want to see where they actually are. Oh, I guess that was kind of pointless because they're already transforms. Whatever. Essentially, I want to just move this around and then see what it looks like. So we're going to go ahead and go like here, here-ish, here-ish. And this is just so that I can copy these components and then paste them in. Paste component values. Just hit play again. So we're just going to hand position this stuff real quick. All right. That cracks me up that it's so far screwed up. We're gonna move you, move you, move you. Let's go ahead and set your rotation to actually be 90. I think we would actually want it to be negative 90. There we go. It's right about there. Move you up. That is not ideal. Let's go ahead and try to slide that over. It's not bad. I'm a little worried because it's pretty close to the edge of the screen. But I think that's fine for now. Let's go ahead and copy that component. Paste component values, and now for the right side. And once we have that working, once we have them in position, I will flip them. That's the problem with the built-in Unity stuff. I really wish it had like an invert function, but I guess I can actually just go ahead and write a wrapper for that. So let's go ahead and we're going to move you, I don't know, right there seems fine. So we have kind of a nice trinity here going on. Got a top, left, and right. Now is that correctly handled? It is. I'm also going to go ahead and rotate the troll so that I can get a sense of what it looks like when it's facing the player. That's pretty good. Okay, yeah, I like that. We might get rid of the jump option for now and just have it be left or right. Just because I don't want to deal with 3. I don't want to have to go through that effort. And And two, it would let us raise the left and right positions a fair amount. So let's probably go ahead and do that. And let's actually try a couple of things. First up, I'm going to make this rotate be 0, 0. Okay, that way I can drag this around freely and make it look like it's correct. So like right about there, I think. Something like that. That seems fine. Let's go ahead and copy that. Paste that component value in. Let's just go ahead and move these both up by a little bit. And let's just change our timeline to not use the jump one. So we're going to make that 2. All right. So that should be a little bit better. Let's see what that looks like. Once it decides to play, that is. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, let's also go ahead and I'm going to go to transform extensions. Transform extensions. All right. So this is a class that I put together to just handle and expand upon some basic transform behaviors. We'll go ahead and let's see. I'll put that up here. So we'll say public static void. That would be what I want, right? Yeah. Okay. We're going to say follow target. I'll say this transform. And I guess we'll call it T. All right. So what we want to do is essentially what the base follow target is, but then rotate 180 degrees around the y-axis. I'm actually curious to see what Unity does by default. So we're going to debug their DLLs. Okay, let's see. Unity editor timeline. Okay, I guess I'm going to my Unity Hub stuff. Not. Haha! Thank you, Dusted Ham. I don't have that many subscribers, so that's super exciting. And now you get icons! Or what are they called? Emotes! Okay, so I need to go to Program Files, and we need to go to... Where are you? Unity. Hub, Editor, I think Data Managed, and I believe this is what we want. Unity Editor, Unity Engine, here we are. Plug that in. Well, thank you very much. That also means that you can use the super exclusive, crap, what's it called? Like, special rooms that totally exist, even though I never really use them. Okay, so here is our Unity Engine DLL. We're going to go to Transform. Just Unity Engine, Transform. Scroll all the way down here. Okay, Transform. Yeah, I think subscribers have access to the Fire one and then the Hero one. Let's see. Transform. Transform. Here we are. So let's see. We want. It's a surprisingly short class. I guess let's just out of curiosity come down to here. What are you in? That is from Transform. Okay. So let's see what that looks like. Look at, here we are. Here we are. Okay. Target dot position. Okay. What is this doing? It's doing C++ stuff that it doesn't want me to see. Well, that's not at all annoying. Thanks, Unity. Let's try this again. Look at. Let's see. Here we are. Okay. Well, fine. Be that way, Unity. I don't care. I will find a different thing. So I guess that means that I should open up my object rotation script. Because I've already done something kind of like this. No, not rotation. Rotation. Over here. So the objects that rotate in the game, that's no longer a factor. Basically will rotate along the y-axis to face the player, but not the x or the z-axis. So we're essentially going to be doing that. Just... Oh. That is... Okay. That's not at all that hard. So I think we can just do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and... Where is my function? We'll just do that. We'll say t dot rotation is equal to... you know what? No. From to rotation? Hold on. I want to give this a transform target. And I think that's what we want. It's actually probably not a very good thing, because that supposes forward, which is not actually what we want. So let's see. But that would require something along the lines of figuring out the normal vector of the labels. Well, I mean, the normal vector would just be their transform.forward, actually. So that would just be t.forward. So we would use quaternion dot... Was it from to rotation? I don't think I've ever used that. Creates a rotation which rotates from direction to direction. Okay. So we could do... I guess from direction would be where it currently is. So that would be t dot forward, I think. And then to direction would be target dot forward. Well, no, see that's where it gets annoying, because I don't actually want the targets forward. Instead, what I probably should want is the direction to the target, which would mean I think I would need t dot position minus target dot position. I believe that gives me the direction for that. We will find out. And then I will say t dot rotation is equal to that. And let's give that a shot. So instead of transform dot look at, I'm going to say transform dot... What did I call it? Follow target. And we'll give it a target. Let's see what that does. I'm curious to know if it, like... It'll either work perfectly or it'll work horrendously wrong. It's going to be one of those two choices. Okay. So let's see what happens. And if it works well, then what I'll probably end up doing is making the attack animation last longer, so that I can just kind of like freely move the camera around to make sure that it's correct. Okay, let's hit play. Okay, let's hit play again. Don't know what was going on there. That was weird. Oh dear. Interesting. It's like the right label looks pretty correct, but the left label does not. Oof. Oh wait. No, never mind. I was gonna say like it's fighting itself, but no, that is not the case. Okay. I don't know what's going on there. It's weird because the right label seems to be correct, but the left label is not at all. Like even when it's rotating, it doesn't seem to be correct. It's also just hilarious that it's rotating so much. Okay. Huh. Yeah, I think it's perfect, right? That'll make it really challenging. That's what makes combat hard. Is the labels rotate super fast. Huh. Perfect. Okay. I'm wondering if that is actually rotating it by that amount. Yeah. Okay. So that could be the problem. Um. Hmm. I. Jeez. It could also be that I'm getting the direction wrong here. Um. Hmm. But what is quaternion? I just want to make sure that this is rotation with specified forward and upwards direction. So it could be that from to rotation is actually applying rotation in the sense that it's like calculating what that rotation value would be. That would explain why it flickers as opposed to being constant. So I probably want to use look rotation instead, I think. Um, it just means that I don't want to. Let's go ahead and do this. We're going to say t dot rotation is equal to quaternion dot look rotation, and for this we want the forward and upwards. We're not going to worry about upwards. I'm just going to worry about forward, and that's going to be so that should be t dot position minus target dot position again. I think that's correct. Right? Like I'm like 90% sure that that's the correct calculation for direction. I want to make sure. Let's see. Because yeah, it's totally just the. Oh, actually, you know what? That might be inverting it, but it should be fine. Well, we'll find out. It's going to be perfect because up till now I have never made a mistake ever. I'm utterly infallible. Aha! It actually did work though. Okay. So that seems to work. I am. Hmm. It's not exactly the most efficient because we're setting its rotation every frame, which is not super great. But let's go ahead and I'm going to change my initial timeline so it lasts about 15 seconds. I'm going to drag the camera around just so I can make sure that it follows it correctly. Um, okay, so we want this to be a duration of 15, I guess. I will give you a duration of 15 as well. All right, let's go ahead and see what this does. So once it faces the camera, I'm going to go ahead and just move the camera around. Okay, which means I'm going to actually move this camera around. Okay, seems right. Yep. Cool. Um, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set my initial timeline. Let's go ahead and change this back to what it was. So this should be 7 seconds long, I believe, and then you should be 7 seconds, except you're actually 7 seconds minus 1 frame, because stupidity. Okay, so that, I think, solves that problem. Although I'm actually curious. I want to play the left, or I'm going to select left, and I just want to see what it looks like. Because I want to see what the labels do when they get held in place. Oh, it's hard to tell. I want labels once you start the transition between attack phases. I want the labels to stay facing the direction they were facing already, just so that it feels like you're progressing. It's a nice little like visual indicator that they're no longer active. They're just kind of like floating in space as they fade out, basically. Um, okay, so cough. let's see. The next thing we want to do is I want to handle rotation for the troll. So I probably so not all enemies will need to face the camera all the time, but we will want them to face the camera some of the time. So we'll probably want to make that a behavior, I guess. Let's go ahead. Minimize this. Minimize this. Oh, and before I forget, I'm going to add a bool here. Bool invert is equal to false. And we will grab this, put this away. We're going to say vector 3 direction is equal to this. And if our direction, we're just going to say invert question mark negative direction else direction, just so that I can quickly invert that. Let's see. The other thing that I want to do is where are you? Oh wait, what am I talking about? I need to create a new script. So, excuse me. We are going to come down here to our timeline, create folder for characters. I guess actually that would not necessarily be characters. It could be anything. So the thing with the characters is that we can't have the characters actually face the camera head on. If we do that, then they'll have this really weird effect where they tilt, and people obviously don't tilt whenever they look at stuff. Instead, what we need to do is we just need to confine their rotation to the y-axis, so that they rotate to face towards the camera, but they don't rotate their entire physical being to be flush with the camera. So we're going to go ahead and create, actually, hold on. Yeah, okay. Create a playable. This will be our playable behavior C# script. And this is going to be look at target behavior. Let that compile. And then we'll have a clip. I guess I can go ahead and open this, can't I? And Shazam. There we go. Create playables, playable asset. Say look at target clip. Okay. Go ahead and open that up. All right. So these are going to be. You know what? I might make these common scripts instead because they seem like they would be useful across multiple timelines. So let's go ahead and we're going to say public. Actually, before I do anything else, we will want prepare frame. We'll probably have options for this. Let's go ahead and get rid of on behavior pause because we don't care about that. Nor do we care about graph start and stop. We just care about these. Okay, and yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and handle this real quick. So we'll say script playable. Look at target behavior. Playable. Come on. Playable. My God. There we go. Script playable. Look at target clip. Oh, not clip behavior. Dot create graph. Okay. Then we'll have to say look at target behavior. Behavior is equal to playable dot get behavior. It is a chore to get all of the playable stuff set up. There. Okay. So close both of those things. Let them both compile. Oh wow, really? I guess I haven't really typed anything. Didn't even get a warning. Let's see. So from there, we are going to probably have an enum that I want to use. I want to set an enum that tells it how it should look at an object. So we're going to go ahead and say right click, create, C# script. We'll say look at type, capital A, because I'm not a savage. Okay, open this up. Again, we're going to derive from byte, enum, get rid of all of this. All right, so this will be, look at type will be x, y, z. Oh, you know what? Huh, I guess I could make this a bit mask, couldn't I? Yeah, all right. So I guess we're going to want to say x is equal to 1 bit shifted 0 times, followed by y, which is equal to 1 bit shifted once. Then z is equal to 1 shifted twice. All right. And I think I can do this. Oh, no. Okay, so that must go elsewhere. All right, let's go over to look at target clip. We are going to do a couple of things. First up, we're going to serialize field, private, look at type. We'll call this axes equal to, we're going to say -1, which will be everything. And this is, I believe, what is it? There's an attribute for this inside of Unity. I think this one's mine. Yeah, this bit mask is mine, isn't it? Yeah, that's totally mine. Yep. That's not what I want. Let's see. I thought it was like a, maybe it's a system thing. System dot flags, I believe is what we want. Oh, okay. I've never really used the flags attribute before, so I think this is what we want. Yes, there we go. Go ahead and set that up. And we will cast this to look at type. Okay, and you're still going to complain, aren't you? Oh, that's fair. You're no fun. Fine, we'll say look at type.x. There should be a way to handle that, but I don't know. I've never used the system.flags attribute before. It's something that I wanted to do for a long time. Because I have my own bitmask drawer, but it would be better if I could just use the actual ones provided by C#. So let's go ahead and go to phase 2. Or I guess phase 1 will work too, might as well. And we're going to go ahead and add a new field, or a new track group. We'll call this troll with a capital T, because again, not savages. We will have a playable track. Let's go ahead and add, look at target clip. Okay, so you totally did not do what I was expecting you to do. Let's see. Is there really not a built-in way for this by now? I would have thought that Unity would have this. I mean, I can use my own bitmask stuff, but I really don't want to. But I guess I should. So bitmask type of look at type. And we don't care about anything else, so let's let that go. I might have to do some research on system.flags just to make sure I'm even using it correctly. I'm probably not. You gonna compile for me, Unity? There we go. Well, that didn't quite work. Did not quite work at all. Values. System.enum get attribute.prop type as int. Really? Huh. Okay. Let's see where else I'm doing this. Is it because I need to do like a setup for it? That would suck. Oh, you know what? Probably it would be helpful here is not to derive from byte because that kind of makes having a mask difficult. Or certainly it's smaller. Camo. I believe in you, Unity. Not very much, but I believe in you. Okay. Oh, come on. There we are. All right. So I'm wondering why it would complain that it can't find it. So let's go ahead and see if that was the issue. Hmm. All right. If it gets to be too frustrating, then oh, there it is. Okay. Cool. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's always been my problem with this draw is that it does mixed instead of everything. But that's fine. At least it handles nothing and everything correctly. So let's go ahead and we are going to come down here, look at target clip, and here's where it's going to get fun. So we're going to say public, look at target type, axes is equal to look at type.x. And we are going to down here say behavior dot axes is equal to axes. Okay. Now we need to reverse masks on this to determine how it should rotate. Which I hate doing masks because I hate doing logical bit or operations. I'm not very good at them. And I always forget how to do them. So there are a couple of other things. In addition to specifying axes, I would like to have an option to basically constantly face, or I guess always look. We'll say always follow is equal to false. And then we're going to do a tooltip. If true, will constantly rotate target to face. No. Target object. No, that's so awkward. Will rotate specified transform to face target. We'll just say target. Okay. Then we're going to have a couple of other things. We're going to serialize field, private, exposed reference, transform, call this target, no, rotate object, and we're going to serialize field again, private, I can't spell, private, exposed reference, transform, target, okay. And let's go ahead, let that save, and now we're going to need to come down here, public transform rotation object, public transform target, okay. Come down here, we'll say behavior dot rotation object is equal to rotate object, and behavior dot target is equal to target.resolve graph.getResolver dot resolve graph.getResolver all right, and I think that's pretty much all we really care about for this. let's, I guess, go ahead and rename this so that there can. I like to rename my fields so that they match between clips and their behaviors. There's no real reason for it. I just like to do that. Makes it easier for me to associate the values together. Okay. So on behavior play, we're going to say if application dot is plain, because otherwise we'll get some weird effects. Same thing in prepare frame. We also forgot the bool, didn't we? Yep. So we're going to say bool. Public bool. Public bool. Always follow is equal to false. Save that. Okay, and we're going to say behavior dot always follow is equal to always follow. Good, good, good. All right, so on behavior play, we will say, geez, that is really not great. So I essentially want to say, if, geez, this is going to suck so hard. If axes or equals look at type dot x, I believe. No, that is adding it, isn't it? It's that. That would be a cat. You are not the logical operation that I need to do, cat. I am going to look at my bitmask property drawer stuff. Specifically, I'm going to look at where I'm using bitmask attribute. Because of this. Oh, not that. Whatever, that works. I don't really use the bitmask operations very often, so I always forget how to do it. Let's see, contains blah blah blah, contains. Here we are. ToMask if mask and there it is. So we're gonna do this if this is greater than 0. Yar. Really? Interesting. Okay, seriously, I have to like double wrap it. Okay, that's fair, that's fair. So we need to basically check if all of them are true, if 2 of them are true, and then if one of them specifically is true. So, it's such a massive if-else statement that I have to make here. That is really, really gross. Okay, so we'll do all 3 first, I guess, and that, and that. So we'll say if x, y, and z are all checked, then we're going to do something else. Oh, geez, I have to do 3 checks for if 2 of them are, oh no, I guess, nope, yep, 3 checks to see if only 2 of them are done, and then 3 separate checks to see if a single one is done. Oh my goodness, that is so stupid. Okay, else if, and we're just going to pretty much do this. Else if, wow, this is so sloppy. This is so sloppy and painful. You can do axes and look at type.x or okay. Well, no, we don't want it to be or. We want it to okay, yeah. So that would be wait, hold on. 2x's and look at type.x. Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. So it would be this. Well, would that? Yeah. So let's go ahead and do that. I've not done that before, so I want to test that. I'm not doubting you because you probably know more about this than I do because I don't really do bitwise operations very often. But I'm concerned that that's going to do like if any of these are checked as opposed to if all of them are checked. So I'm going to say debug.log test. Okay. Then I shall continue on. So we're going to say x and z. And then if y and z, I just hate having all these massive else ifs. So you will be y and z. Okay. And then we have all of the individual ones. So we're going to say else if axes and look at type.x. Yes, cat, I see you. I apologize if you start hearing like static. My cat is rubbing up against my microphone right now because she wants so much attention and I just never give it to her. Let's see. So we're going to go ahead and do another else if for y and then for z. God, I feel like I'm starting to learn how to code again. It's like, oh, it's just massive else if statements. Ugh. Okay. So, oof, this is brutal. Geez, how on earth do I want to do this? Eh, I really am going to be too lazy. I'm going to be too lazy to do these parts because I don't care enough right now. So instead, I'm just going to look at if all of them are checked and then if individual ones are checked. Let's see. X or Y or Z is equal to value if all on. Well, okay. That's... So I would need to know what the value is, which I don't really know. I guess that would be the maximum combination of all of the bits added together, which would be 3-bit shifts. Well, 2 technically, I think. Well, 2, then 1, then 0. Which would probably be... So that's what? 1, 2... That's too low of a number. Eh! In any case, I'm going to go ahead and set this up. So we're going to say target dot rotation is equal to, and let's get rid of you, we can get rid of you, we can get rid of you, and I want you. Okay. Quaternion dot look rotation target forward. Okay. So we're going to say if it's y, it's going to be this. Not target, it's going to be rotate object dot rotation is equal to this, I believe. If you or them together and then x or it against the axes, if it all matches, it will be 0. Okay, so it would be this then. Oh geez, I've never used the up chevron. So that would be this then. If that is greater or is equal to 0. And it's probably going to want me to wrap all of that. Var and one shifted over from position would check a single bit at a position exclusive or. Oh, okay. Well, then we'll give that a shot and make sure that it is. I guess that makes sense. But wouldn't this mean that if all of them are empty, then? Yeah. Which, for the time being, won't really matter because it won't ever. I mean, logically, if you're not going to have it rotate on any axes or any axis, then why would you have this script on there? So it's probably fine for now. So if that's the case, we're just going to say rotate object dot face. Hold on. Timeout. Interesting. Dot. Rotate. What on earth did I call it? Follow target. There we go. Target. Okay. I probably need to have a bool public. Can't spell. Public bool invert is equal to false. Probably should do that. Invert. If true, will flip resulting rotation 180. And then we're going to say behavior dot invert is equal to invert. Okay, right. Right, yeah. If, oh, okay, I didn't see that one. If mask and value is equal to mask. Oh, that's a good point. So I guess we could do, but then I have to create the mask, which I guess is the value? No. Axes is the value. The mask would be us putting this all together. Excuse me. So I guess it would be this then. Is equal to mask. So axes and that is equal to, oh, okay. Good point. So it'd be that. Aha! All right. Well, thank you very much for walking me through that. Like I said, bitwise stuff is not my strong suit. I very rarely have to do them, so I always forget how to do them between my times messing with them. Okay, so we will go ahead and we're gonna place. Ooh, actually, crap. Okay, I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna be rotate. I can't type. Rotate object dot right, I guess. Would be dot x, and we're gonna do the same thing down here. So we're gonna make a local. Dot up, and this is gonna be super funny. Dot forward. All right. Let's go ahead and let that compile. Been drinking the Enum Kool-Aid. So I have 0, 1, 0, 1, and 1. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I tend to avoid them unless I really need to, which I think actually is a bad choice because that tends to weaken me in these areas. I really should just like force myself to do something with them, which I guess is kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just failing spectacularly. Okay, so let's test this out. First up, we're going to put the troll here as our rotate object, and the target will be our camera. Main camera, and we will always follow, and we will set our axes to be just the y-axis for now. And here we are. If application is plain and always follow. Oh joy, we got to do all this again. So I'm gonna move all that into a single function. Private void follow. Paste that in here, and we'll say follow. Follow. Okay. In C# you can put the flag on an enum, so you can use bitter operations on it. You don't have to set the values in the enum though. Yeah, I mean that's what I started to do. So you can see I'm using like system.flags, but I haven't really done anything with it. Like this is actually the first time I've ever used system.flags. Java. I always hated Java. I uh, um, that's true. It's really good to start with because it's pretty forgiving. Um, it's just that I really don't like Java. It's it's a personal vendetta, I think. Um, oop, we have a consistent line ending problem. Haha. Okay, so we will give this a shot. I'm curious to see if we can get this to look right. And once that is done, we will hopefully be able to just have our characters rotate to face the camera as appropriate. Um, Bearing in mind that, again, it's not always going to be necessary for the enemy to always face the camera. Let's go ahead and minimize these. Because there are future battles where the enemy is more 3D. They're not really flat. They actually have some depth to them. I mean, they're still technically made of flat parts, but because they're a complex organism, they actually have some 3D component to them. And in those cases, we wouldn't want them to always face the camera. Okay, hooray! I think that works. Let me move the camera around. Okay, maybe. Let me try that again. Let's go to. We want to invert it as well because it looks like it was wrong. Go over to timeline, look at target clip. We'll pass in invert. Are we actually doing anything with that? I don't think we are. Frack. So we need to say in here invert, and in addition to this, we're going to say invert question mark. We're going to say target dot forward, else that. Paste that. Paste that. Oh crap, that's still all kinds of wrong, but it's fine for now. So let's go ahead and let that happen. See, I wish my school started me on C. I didn't really learn C until I want to say sophomore year, maybe. Um, my school started off on Scheme because IU was stupid like that sometimes. I don't think they're doing that anymore, though. Fortunately, I think that they're teaching Python now, which is a much better language to learn than Scheme because Scheme is worthless. All right. So let's give this a shot. It should invert to make it actually look correct. Ah! Cool. So that seems to work. Let's go ahead and just out of curiosity, I'm going to apply the same thing to our second timeline here. It is going to be along the y-axis, not along the z or the z-axis. X-axis. Good God, I tried so hard to say that and I just couldn't. I'm also going to go ahead and change look at target clip to default to Y instead of X because it's more likely that Y will be used more often. So it makes sense for me to default to that. Huh. That is true. Pointers tend to trip people up. It certainly tripped me up the first time I ever had to do anything with them. Okay, so we're going to make this look at target clip. It's going to be inverted. It will always follow. Axes will be Y. Our rotate object again will be the troll. And then our target is once again main camera. Okay, so let's test this out. we should be able to get through the initial cutscene, type in what we want, have it transition, and the troll should rotate to follow along as it is moving. Yeah! Ha Cool. Okay, so that's pretty exciting. We got that working a lot faster than I was expecting to. Um, hmm, what to do next? I guess I should probably just do a quick check. So I'm going to show you why I wanted to rotate exclusively along the y-axis and not along everything. Because hiccups. But also because if we rotate along everything, you should see the troll like awkwardly tilt at his base to try and face the camera, which will make everything look weird. So I'm going to say left, and yeah, like that's going to happen. Okay. I'm actually going to go ahead and reverse these as well. So negative, negative, and negative, and doot, doot, and doot. Okay. Let's go ahead and uncheck invert. And once that comes in, we'll switch everything back, make it Y. And then we will probably call it a night, end on a high note. So we have transitions working between the timelines. We don't quite have the failure stuff working yet, which is fine, I guess. It's certainly something that we'll have to flesh out, but I actually don't expect that to take very long because all it's going to be is just playing a timeline to reset player position. So let's go ahead real quick. I want to reset this to make sure that it's correct. You're going to be nothing, and then y-axis always follow. That's fine. Invert, no, and we should be good. Now, as far as you're concerned, you should not be inverted either. Right? Let's give that a. Let's go ahead and play through this just to see what it looks like. And let's see. Okay, good. So that's working, correct. And that would be my cat running through the house. All right, so cool. Yes, that's exciting. So from here, I think the steps going forward are going to be messing around with the fail state, making sure that that works. And then the next thing that we really want to, the next big thing is probably going to be defensive options. So having the troll or having enemies be able to attack you back, and then you have like a, I don't know, it might have like a little animation of it winding up, and then you have to type something that's shown up there, like dodge. And then if you type that in correctly, obviously it'll progress. If you don't type that in correctly, then it will fail. You'll get smacked back to the starting area. But I think that's going to be the next big thing, is working on defenses. I am probably tonight going to continue working on the side stuff that I've been doing for this. So one of the things that I've been trying to do is handle incorrect letters differently. So when you start typing, so I'm going to type a little bit of a letter and then start misspelling it. So now we have sound effects that go off, as well as highlighting, of course. But what I would really like to do is, instead of highlighting the entire word and just playing a sound effect, I would like to play a sound effect and then highlight the letter that you're misspelling specifically. So if I type H here, it should highlight the I. And I also want to have the I shake. So I want to have the letter that you misspell or mistype shake. That way you just have a very visual indication of what you misspelled and where it is. Also, part of the reason that I want to have the shake there is because if I establish that a shaking character is a bad thing, then I can use letter vibration, like we've already set up, to warn that a label is an incorrect choice. So that's something I'm trying to figure out right now. I've got some code in there trying to get it to work, but it doesn't seem to actually be animating the vertex stuff, or the vertex of the label, vertices of the label, I guess. So I'm going to be working on that probably tonight to try and get that to work. Hopefully I'll be able to get that functioning, because that would be a nice thing to have. So in any case, I think that is a good place to stop for the night. And announcements, we should be good for Thursday's Devstream, so that should be on at our usual time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's pretty much it, I think, for now. So, as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.